internets.
I got a little thing on here that says off air on my phone.
Well, just wait. Just be patient. It'll get there.
Right.
I promise.
Oh, it says live now.
Yeah, I told you to be patient. All right, so I have a feeling you guys are way louder than me. So, okay. I'm not worried about it.
Well, you guys sound the same volume to me.
I'm glad. That's good. All right. Whew. That was, well, live radio. Okay.
How about that?
The technical difficulty section.
Well, and so I figure if anyone is actually listening, they're used to it by now. They're driving in their car. They're on the Bay Bridge headed back to wherever, the halfway house they live in Berkeley. And they're like, oh, those silly sober happy hour guys, they just don't know how to use the internet. If I told them what I did for a living, they would put their head in their hands and would just kill themselves. So, yeah. All right. So we figured it out. We are literally live on Google Plus right now, on YouTube. If I know what the actual address is. Do you guys?
Yeah, it's going to be the same as the email address.
So how do they get to it?
Well, go to YouTube and do a search for Sober Happy Hour.
So I'm gonna do that. Let's see here. So we go to.
I'm gonna see if I can do it through the Apple TV.
Yeah, that would be great. I doubt it. All right, YouTube.com/Sober Happy Hour. This page is not available. Shit. Sober Happy Hour. Search. Sober Happy Hour live now. You can subscribe to it. Wait. There's 2 of them. Weird. So I'm going to click on it. If you hear echoes, I promise I will turn it off. Chaz's face is like the thumbnail. It's you going like this.
There's several of them.
Yeah, there's a few. I think we've tried this before. Okay. Okay. It's working.
I'm watching it.
Wow. Okay. I'm done freaking out. You know what I thought would be a good segment? An ongoing, recurring segment on the show?
What would that be?
It's the did we all remember to mute our cell phones segment? Like the thumbnail. It's you going like this.
There's several of them.
Yeah, there's a few. I think we've tried this before. Now we're getting repeat. Okay. It's working. Turn your sound off. Wow.
All right, let me kill the volume here.
Okay. All right. So I thought that'd be a good segment. The have we all muted our cell phone segment. So I try my best, and this is the truth. I try my best to go through and edit the audio of the podcast before it posts, and then wherever I hear like Chaz moving his cell phone or Robinson flushing the toilet or the R2D2 sound of, I'm pretty sure it's your phone, Robinson. I try to edit that crap out or use a compressor to stop it. Easier said than done. So I figure we could make it a recurring theme of the show and say, all right, gentlemen, we now have 20 seconds to find our technology and mute it. And Chaz, you're walking around your house right now, and all I hear is like this.
Okay, so what do I have to do to mute this thing?
That just, I don't know. More or less, oh shit. Find a place and fucking stay there. Alright. Uh-oh. I think we broke Chaz.
I think he disconnected himself.
Now you didn't.
Oh, he just looked scared. You had a face, it looked like you farted. And then you were like,
Nice.
you were like, oh, see, now you're making noise again. I will kill you. All right. There's a mute button, for Christ's sake. Hit it. Do we all know how to mute ourselves? Because there should be a little microphone. What?
Now he's muted himself.
Now he's broken himself. So, we never got a chance to really start the show properly, so...
Let's do it all over again.
All right, if you would indulge me for a moment. Here, Chaz, will you sing the bumper music?
Say again?
Will you sing the bumper music for everybody so we can start the show over again? No, that's like the Brady Bunch. Here's
I don't know. I can't do the low tones like the bass in my head here. You know?
All right, fine. All right. Well, this is the Sober Happy Hour radio broadcast. We are coming to you live on RadioValencia.fm, also terrestrial radio somewhere in San Francisco. Usually, if it's not too foggy, you can hear the show. Also, live video streaming on Google+. The web address is something weird. You can search for Sober Happy Hour on YouTube, and you can find the show. You can see all three of us on the show if you do a YouTube search. Email us, soberhappyhour@gmail.com. Go to Facebook. Like us. Well remembered. You can tweet us at Sober Happy Hour. And what's missing? SoberHappyHour.com. Catch us every Saturday night, Sunday morning from midnight to 2 a.m. Pacific time, which is now, this week, the same as Arizona time. So I'm not going to be incredibly tired in the morning tomorrow. So, how was your week, gentlemen?
Good, good. And just a side note,
great.
It's 2 p.m. in Vietnam, and I have a couple of listeners.
It's 2 p.m.?
Yeah.
So, they're how many hours ahead? 14?
Got a fucking word we're saying because, language barrier. No, they're 17, they're 12, 14 hours ahead of us.
14, okay.
Yes. They're well into tomorrow.
We're probably going to have to practice something that Chaz brought up a month ago, which is right now I'm noticing that we're not cutting in on each other like we do normally, where we can hear each other's cut-ins. So if we're going to speak, and I hope that you will, give a little signal. Since we're on video, do a little, like Chaz does the little finger. He goes like this.
Right.
Robinson, you do whatever you want, and I'll go like this. Sound good? Not so much. All right. Everybody's laughing at my jokes tonight.
It bothers me that I can't see your mouth. Your mouth is just covered by that thing.
Let me see if I can move it.
It's great for radio, but not good for video.
What if I do that?
Funny. I'm watching us on on TV right now.
Like on TV?
Well, like on my Apple TV. And
I wonder...
right now it's when we're talking about holding up fingers. So there's a little delay.
Well, yeah, that's so that they can shut us down if we're using copywritten material.
Mm.
I assume.
No, I don't think any editor. It's just a time lag in technology.
Yeah.
Ooh, that'd be the name of my next band.
Time lagging and technology.
Yeah, technology time lag. So one of these days, I'm going to invest in a better microphone. And it's going to be fancy. If you guys ever have a chance or you see for sale a Shure SM7, let me know. Or if you can steal one, I'll take it off your hands.
SM7.
I wouldn't even know what it looked like.
I could show you. This Google thing lets me like add pictures of stuff, but I'm way too lazy to figure that out. Cameraman, capture, Q&A, showcase, screen share, chat. Wow. There's a lot of shit going on in this thing. Pretty cool.
Yeah, we're looking like all the way down all this stuff right here, right?
Yeah. Like, how the hell?
I'm looking at it, but it's backwards on my screen.
Really?
I'm just kidding.
Oh, that would be... Because you're looking at mine. Wow. Spam. Huh. Ask your audience to submit questions and they will appear below. Cool. Well, one of you has a lot of background noise, and I know that you were trying to plug in a microphone, and so I apologize if anyone's listening and it kind of sounds like a steam train every once in a while. That's just the nature of live internet radio. If you don't like it, you can send us money so that we can buy better microphones. Simple solution.
It's pretty likely that it's mine, even though I hear absolutely nothing other than the white noise in my head.
I'm turning off like air conditionings and all sorts of other stuff.
Oh man, perfect segue. Thank you, Chaz.
You're welcome, Mike.
I got the coolest new toy.
Okay.
I can't even tell you how excited I am to have this finally. So, a thermostat in your home is fairly mundane. It's a commodity. Everybody's got a thermostat, right? So who the hell cares?
It's that little square box with a thing at the bottom, or maybe it's got some push buttons.
So it's the sexiest little round thing now that sits on my wall. It has a motion sensor in it, so when you walk up to it because you want to change it, it turns on, and then when you walk away, it turns off. And it learns your habits or your temperature desires and can be adjusted and saves people money. Like people in Phoenix, on average, save hundreds of dollars over the course of a summer because of this fancy little toy. It's fantastic.
Home Depot?
No. They sell them at the Apple Store. It's called a Nest. I'm sorry?
They sell them at Home Depot as well.
Yes, they do. Although, at my Home Depot, they must have a lot of theft because they don't keep it out. You have to take the little cardboard thing up to the service counter where the assholes work, and then they'll sell it to you. All right.
Sounds
Alright.
like
Fantastic. This show's going well. Brought to you by Carl's Jr.
I had a thought today.
Love that movie.
Just one?
Sponsored by Stella. No, I had a thought today. I was listening to some of the old Arbor Circle at work, and the song "What You've Done." How appropriate! You were completely straight edge when you wrote that.
It's true. So, what's weird is there are a lot of songs that I've written that they don't seem relevant when I write them. Like I'm almost writing them in the third person, but then years later the song will make perfect sense to me in my life. It's weird.
Happens.
It doesn't
Means
happen
you're growing
to you.
up, Mike.
You don't even know what I'm talking about. Liar. I'm gonna
Yes, I
put
do.
this. I'm gonna put a condom on my microphone, so it might be noisy. Hold on.
That looks like a used condom. Is that a used condom? That's a used condom. That's disgusting.
It's a big one. It's a magnum.
Now it looks like a giant dildo in your face.
You know, when I was broadcasting at Radio Valencia, I went and bought a box of those disposable little stockings that you put on in the shoe store. Usually women wear them. They're made of nylon material, but they're really tiny. You just fit on the bottom of your feet. And they have no specific shape until you put them on something. And we used them for all the mics because we had 5 mics in the studio. And every time somebody would do a talk show, everybody would don their new condoms, microphone condoms.
Practicing safe
Oral.
something. Not enough people know that oral sex can also lead to sexually transmitted diseases. That's a public service announcement.
Yes.
You can get herpes of the throat.
Yes, you can
There
also.
are people out there who don't know this.
There are people out there that...
You can also get strep anus. It's true. If someone's got strep throat and they're doing a ATM, they can transfer it right. Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, boss. Can't come into work today. I got strep butt.
It's called strep rectum. Strectum.
You mean strep throat? No. My girlfriend has strep throat. I have strep butt. Good times. We have one viewer.
We do.
It's probably Chaz.
Or
on his
you,
Apple
Rob.
TV.
Yep.
That's funny. I don't like that people can watch our video because they can see what I'm doing. I'm eating, drinking, not booze.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
Shut your...
So what is the whole idea of this live streaming then, if we don't like necessarily people watching us being, well, us?
Speak for yourself. I just say I don't like it, but I do. Oh man, now I have a really long delay.
Because I was going to say, I could watch myself and I could have people watching me all the time. I
I
like
bet
it.
you could.
Oh yeah, I could.
Set up a webcam site. I gotta figure out this delay. This is driving me crazy.
I know. I'm hearing it too. It's
All right, I need
it might be a YouTube thing.
All right. Now I don't have vocal feedback, but do you still hear me as delayed, or do you hear me more quickly?
I can't see your mouth at the moment, so it's hard to tell.
1, 2, 3,
No delay.
4, 5, 6,
It's like like
7,
maybe a quarter of a
8,
second delay.
9. Cool.
So, you're good.
All right. So I can't hear myself, so I'm just going to assume that everything sounds fine. But we didn't really come up with a specific topic for the week. Last week we did listener emails and got a lot of great feedback about listener emails, but didn't get any more emails. So it's kind of like we answered all the emails and now we're done with that. So until we get more emails, we can't do a listener email show.
Yeah, we need more listeners. Right email.
We need more than just Chaz viewing from his Apple TV.
Yes.
Chaz, you could invite people over to your house to watch you do the show on the Apple TV. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, well, then they'd be like hearing about a 10-second delay or something over there, and I'd be sitting in the kitchen and doing it right here, and it would just be totally bizarre time warp thing.
But I think that could actually drive someone insane.
Probably.
I don't know. I wonder if there is a way to add the bumper music. Just make it a file on the computer, not through GarageBand. Have it fade out and everything the way that it does, and just play it through one of these fancy buttons here on the left of the YouTube. I bet we could figure that out.
Well, I think this show is becoming the let's figure out the YouTube thing show.
Yeah, we're about, half hour now?
This is the technical difficulty episode.
Well, what we could
call
call it is just the technical difficulty hour, and we could just have fun with it. Like, we don't have to always talk about sobriety. We could just talk about being frustrated with our technology. I could tell stories about little old ladies that come into my work and complain about their technology. I think that would be a terrible show that nobody would watch.
I don't know. Maybe.
There are lots of terrible shows on the radio, though.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to be one of them.
No, we don't.
So, all right, let's get serious here. All right, we have spent long enough just jerking around with this YouTube business. There's a microphone behind me that usually belongs to Chaz, so we're feeling a little bit out of our element tonight. Robinson doesn't have a microphone. Chaz isn't here. I'm a little punchy, so we're going to talk about this thing called sobriety. Now, something interesting was I was kind of paying attention. I've been paying attention a lot lately to references to sobriety, drug addiction, recovery, in the media, in television shows, in movies and things like that. And what's really interesting is the portrayal of recovery and addiction, not on like reality shows like Intervention and stuff like that, but on television as like the person on this show is a recovering addict or is a drug addict or an alcoholic or something. And what's really, really what I found interesting in some of these references that I've heard recently was alcoholism is referred to and treated as very, very different than drug addiction. And we kind of look at it like crack and heroin get put in the same category, and then like speed kind of gets its own category, and then there aren't any other like hard drugs that anyone refers to as drugs that people get addicted to. Marijuana gets labeled non-addictive, and then alcoholics kind of get referred to as either violent abusers,
Or worthless bums.
worthless, homeless bums, or the 40-year-old frat guy who never grew up and drinks too much. And, oh man, he's just an alcoholic. He should get some help, right? But they refer to the alcohol abuse as something almost like no big deal. Oh, you're an alcoholic. No big deal. But you're a heroin addict. Oh, you're going to die. You're a sad panda.
Can you give us an example, like what TV show or something you saw this on, or where are you getting this impression?
Oh, man. No.
Just like not wanting, because I can't. I mean, I get I get the general idea of what you're saying, but I'm drawing a blank when I'm trying to think of specific media examples of this.
Well, it would be more the alcohol side of the conversation. So you see alcohol consumption on television. You look at and you can look at like a reality TV show, and you look at something like MTV's The Real World, and that show has produced countless alcoholics and drug addicts. Like, they came in their early 20s, late teens, and they were just partying hard, and it was no big deal. And then you find out, 10 years later, they're broke and a complete mess, and that show was sort of the catalyst to that lifestyle. But they condone the drinking, the excessive drinking, on that show, and it's geared towards teenagers. Like, this is a story about 7 strangers picked to live in a house and have their lives taped.
And edited.
And see what happens when people stop being polite and start being real.
When I was a child growing up, I used to watch the Andy Griffith Show. And one of the characters on there was Otis, the drunk, who was always just basically living. He basically lived in the town jail.
Drunk tank.
They brought him coffee in the morning. He was just the town drunk, and he was a happy drunk. And it was like, hey, every town's got the town drunk. It's like an acceptable part of society.
When did it become an acceptable part of society? When did it become acceptable to society to be an active alcoholic?
I don't know. I think before, I think forever, basically forever, there's always been that guy in the village of, every village has its village idiot, or the village wanderer who like kind of wanders off outside of the premises that they're allowed to go and discovers different things. That's your ADD dude. And you got your OCD. I mean, all these conditions that people have, they've always been around. We just never had labels for them or thought about them or called them conditions.
So what's interesting about what you're saying is you can look, a couple hundred years ago, and you had people abusing opium. You had Chinese opium dens. You know, mid 1800s New York City opium dens, and people who were raging opiate addicts. And some of them were, you know, the upper crust. They were the doctors and the lawyers, and they would function and have to use the drugs like we talked about a couple of weeks ago, and try to stay ahead of getting sick, quote unquote sick, the junkie sick, and yet even in a show that I've been watching that I hope comes back for another season. It's called The Nick. I don't know if either of you have seen The Nick on HBO, Showtime, Cinemax, Cinemax, and it is a show about a 19th century hospital in New York City called the Knickerbocker, and a surgeon who is this doctor who wants to be a surgeon, and this is pre, you know, modern medicine and the advances in surgery. Like, they're hand cranking a pump to get blood out of a human being, you know, vacuum crank, and they're, you know, still using lobotomies to treat crazy people, and this, spoiler alert, the main character is hardcore addicted to cocaine. He's injecting it, and he's injecting it between his toes to prevent track marks on his arms. You know, he's injecting it into main, you know, veins in his chest to prevent visible injection points, and he gets way far gone. They use cocaine as a sedative. They use cocaine as a pain, whatever do we call it, for pain management during surgery. Anesthetic, thank you. Anesthetic. It's the big hammer like Bugs Bunny. They hit you on the head. And he gets super messed up on cocaine, liquid cocaine in vials, and then he's sucking the cocaine out of the vial with a syringe, and he's using it and abusing it, and nobody in the hospital knows. He's the most respected surgeon. He's cutting edge. He's a genius, and he's so effed up on cocaine. And then they run out of cocaine. Like, they can't get it anymore because there's like ships being hijacked at sea coming in from wherever they're getting the cocaine from. And so now he's in mega junkie mode, and he's trying to score cocaine however he can, and he's trying to steal it from other hospitals and crazy shit. But this is like 1860 something, New York City. And yet, when his boss and his family or loved ones find out about his hardcore cocaine addiction, again, spoiler alert,
Okay.
they don't fire him and shun him and make him feel like a piece of shit. They don't kick him out on his ass and give him ultimatums and destroy his life. They send him to this newfangled, totally way out there rehab facility. Now, they don't obviously call it that, but it's a specialist who deals with people who find themselves unable to stop using substances. And this is
they call it a health farm.
something like that, but this was like a high class one for this classy, wealthy, you know, surgeon guy. And even way back then, they were ignorant. They didn't even understand how this whole thing works. And yet now in 2015, we treat addicts who are in active addiction worse than we used to treat them 150 years ago. And that's what blows my mind.
Okay. Yeah. I think I mentioned once before in a previous episode uh, the word alcoholic uh, or alcoholism was dipsomania back in the 30s.
You did mention that.
And it was, again, back in that, happy drunk kind of like, oh, he's just like likes to have his dip. And he's a maniac when he gets too much. And yeah, um, Kellogg. I don't know if you know this, but Kellogg cereal. John, I think his name was John. John Kellogg had health farms for uh, people that were sick, and one of his, he had a bunch of like interesting like health and diet remedies, and one of them was cornflakes.
Of course it was.
And it was his brother who marketed it because he was into marketing.
Huh.
But anyway, yeah, Kellogg health.
Well, and what's interesting is you take something like cornflakes, right? Or you take somebody like, Mr. Kellogg, and this, why would somebody like that get involved? Was it because he wanted to sell cornflakes? Maybe. Or was it because he was touched at some point in his life by somebody dealing with this problem? Now, I don't know for sure, and I'm just making a guess here, but I would assume, just like most clinics, famously the Betty Ford Clinic, this Betty Ford Clinic came about due to a very personal experience with addiction. Not because of some philanthropist who wanted to, help these poor unfortunate souls and help make their lives better. It usually comes out of some being personally exposed to and touched by addiction that people get involved in stuff like that. And I would be very curious if Mr. Kellogg had addiction in his life in some way or another.
I think maybe he had some health issue that inspired him, or maybe someone in his family that he was trying to help.
Well, here's an interesting question. Why? So I know why I started the Sober Happy Hour radio broadcast, and I've mentioned it on a couple of episodes, and I'm curious. Why are either of you staying up till the middle of the night on a Saturday night with hardly nobody listening live and not that many people downloading the podcast? We know that. And yet we still get together every Saturday night and we do this show. Why do you guys do this show?
Well, I can say for one, I've always been, I myself am in a field where I am engaging with people who are in recovery, either from substance abuse or mental health or other issues. And so the way I see it is, since there's so much crossovers and so many people with mental health issues have co-occurring substance abuse issues, I know that at least some of my folks on either side are going to hear this and hopefully be able to help someone or something. I mean, even though my own way of recovery and everything else is very, very unconventional and a bit different, maybe it'll work. Maybe it'll help someone. Maybe it'll at least get them thinking for themselves as far as what works for me, and maybe I shouldn't just buy into everything else I've been given, and maybe I should question whether or not these medications are absolutely safe for me, which, by the way, they're not. So for me, really, it's more of an advocacy thing, because I don't get the chance to advocate very much, given my position. So there.
So thank you. What about you, Robinson?
You're
Why do you do this?
Well, because I like having conversations with you, for one. We don't talk enough, and it's it's an interesting subject. I don't have a whole lot to say about it because I have only my observations. I don't have any personal experiences. And I like to just sit and have a drink and have a chat and do a big fat line of coke before the show and get all amped up and Just kidding.
Lord have mercy. Oh man.
I don't have any coke. I did Molly. No, I didn't do Molly.
You know what's funny about that is that even if you were being serious, I would almost say that having a straight up drug user on the show every once in a while might be really could be really interesting for our ratings.
A non-addict drug user? A
Or
drug non-abuser?
yeah, or a completely strung out
Active
user.
user.
Yeah, an active abuser, that would be okay too every once in a while. We could have like, Chuck the tweaker that joins us once a month.
I can definitely arrange that.
I bet you can.
I think I
do not doubt that.
Come up with a few interesting junkie. Heroin junkie.
Well,
tweakers.
to tell you the truth, I still haven't been able to. Well, not haven't been able to, but we haven't even looked into hooking this radio show at least up with a lot of like the newsletters and the community, especially the sober recovery community in Phoenix and Arizona, with this podcast and with this radio show. But I mean, I think we're waiting until the first half hour probably isn't just all technical difficulties, or at least maybe the podcasts. But whenever you're ready to expand and whenever you're ready to make those connections, you just let me know and we'll see what we can start doing.
So, are you trying to say, Chaz, that our radio show is not professional enough for you to put your name fully behind it? Is that what you're trying to say to me right now?
No, I'm saying the call's all up to you, man.
Oh, thank you. That
You're
reminds
welcome.
me of when I used to be in a band, and we had a friend who claimed to have friends in the music industry, but
Mhm.
they weren't willing to share the band with the music industry people because the band wasn't tight enough yet, right? That was the terminology. As soon as you get super tight, man, you just gotta be like really, really tight, bro. Then I'll send this up, man, to my friends in Hollywood, man, and like, yeah, but you just gotta make sure it's really tight because you only get one chance, man.
No, that's not that's not the way I work. The way I would do it is I would give you the contacts, and then it'd be on you to make those relationships.
Ah, so make me do all the work.
Yes!
You are a smart man.
You know the show better than either of us, man. So
A smug son of a bitch you are.
yes, I am.
I wish there was a way to tell Google Hangouts to not cut back and forth between the audio. Just let all the audio be heard.
It's the video that cuts back and forth.
Now the audio does too.
Oh, I don't hear anything.
Maybe because you're deaf.
I mean, I hear you. I don't hear any changes in the audio.
Yeah, every once in a while I hear you guys try to talk, and then all I hear is like a, and then nothing. I see your mouths move or something.
Okay, so it's only letting one person at a time speak. Okay. So what if we wanted to sing a song in harmony? We wouldn't be able to do that?
Probably not. Probably not.
Well, that kind of blows.
Skype lets you do that. Because I've even played music with people via Skype, and Skype's technology intentionally prevents latency.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So the icon, the wallpaper, if you will, the theme for the Sober Happy Hour live video stream that people could log on to and watch right now is an animated beer mug. I thought that was appropriate.
That's awesome.
Anyway.
Where is it?
I don't know, if you go to my Facebook page, I posted a link to it.
Okay. I'll look later.
Yeah, I know you won't. So you know what's a lot of fun?
What?
My mom, is that what you said?
I said what?
No, Robinson said
but
your
yes,
mom.
yes, she is.
She is a lot of fun.
Yeah,
But-
she's a lot of fun.
It's not how I meant it. Okay, but anyway.
Of course not.
What's up? It's a lot of fun.
Well, a lot of fun. So we've been talking about like some interesting things. On the last few shows, we've spent a couple minutes here or there talking about kombucha tea and gone off on some tangents there, which is always a lot of fun. And I started to think about like why are we talking about those kind of off-topic things, and I think what's interesting about them is, so somebody who is a recovering drug addict may find themselves in a situation where they're bored. They don't have a lot going on. They don't have anything to do. Their life used to be consumed by getting drugs.
Yes.
And that could take up most of their day, and then they'd start the process all over again. They go, they score, they use their drugs, they're good for a little while, then they got to figure out how to get more, and if they don't have a job or they're broke or whatever, it becomes harder and harder to scrape together the cash and get it worked out, and then you get sober, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, my life is very different now. And I always find it really interesting when I was talking with a gentleman today, whose father is a long time in the program, and he's not in the program. He's a normal guy and doesn't have an issue, but he owns a business, and it's a local business here. It's a small business. They install kind of commercial automatic gate systems. So think of like the gate in front of an apartment complex that you punch in the code and it opens and closes. So big like commercial gate systems. And he has made it a point over the course of his business to go out of his way to hire ex-cons. And I found that very interesting because he's got a couple of rules. He told me his rules. No violent felonies. No sexual felonies. Or sexual assault or anything like that. And he prefers people who are in recovery, and they have to at least be a year sober, and he gives these guys a job. And he teaches them a trade, and this dude, this is something that he actively tries to do for people. So I
really cool.
thought that was really interesting and really neat. This is somebody who was touched by recovery, his father being long time sober in recovery, and now he sees the benefit in keeping recovering addicts busy and employed and feeling good about themselves with something to wake up in the morning to do.
Well, that kind of goes into the like the whole field that I work in, which is peer support and recovery support. And that can be thought of, like the position itself can kind of be thought of like a cross between a sponsor and a case manager. In other words, it's a person who's going to use their, their personal history with recovery or anything else um, to help people who are receiving services in the behavioral health system, be they, substance abuse, mental health, whatever that is. The field itself is a great opportunity for employment for people in recovery. And many of the people I meet also have, past criminal histories. In fact, some of our programs actually have what it's called forensic peer support, in which basically you can't get hired unless you've been on the inside.
Really?
So it's pretty interesting. Yep.
That is interesting. I have a small business, and I hire people that are down and out. One of the best guys I have on my crew right now he's an ex-con. He got out of prison. He's been trying to get his massage therapy license, and they're just giving him the big runaround. And it's probably because of his having been in prison. But he's great. I love having him work for me.
Well, and don't you think that there's a sense? So at least the addicts that I know that are in recovery, there's a lot of focus put on gratitude.
Yes, there is.
So if somebody like this guy that I was talking about, or like you, Robinson, is willing to take a chance on them, they're going to be very grateful for that chance, because they know it would be more difficult for them to get a chance at a major corporation or at a bigger company or something like that. That here's something that I can be grateful for, and I can be specifically grateful to the person. It's not some unknown entity, the owner of McDonald's Corporation isn't,
Right.
You're not feeling grateful to him for giving you your shitty minimum wage McDonald's job when you're an ex-con, but you, the small business owner, are the guy who gave him that chance, or her, and now they can be grateful to you to your face and express that gratitude, which is a really good thing psychologically for an addict to practice on a regular basis.
When I was living in Orange County, I worked for a guy who was he just had a small remodeling business, and he did a lot of things like kitchen remodeling and bathroom remodeling and little simple things, and he stayed pretty busy all the time. There was one of the guys that worked for him. His name was Victor, and Victor got the job because Dell, the guy who owned the company, was just like driving down the street one day, and he saw this kid like face down in the gutter, and he like pulled over to stop and help him, and saw that he was just this scrawny, like 90-pound, like heroin addict, and was just like ready to die. And so he just took him to the hospital, put him into recovery, and then when the guy, when Victor got kind of like on his feet a little bit, and he was getting into getting on not antabuse, what do you call it? What's the recovery for heroin medication they give you?
Methadone.
Methadone. They got him on a methadone program, and then Dell put him to work and taught him how to be a carpenter, and made sure that he got all the tools that he needed, got a vehicle, and just basically gave him something else to do with his life. And didn't pay him very well, but Victor was really, really grateful for this opportunity to get, clean and sober and have a career and have a normal life. But there came a point when Victor was like, he was done with the drugs, and he was a really good carpenter, but Dell still wouldn't give him any more money. And every time he would ask for a raise, Dell would give him how can you do this to me after everything I've done for you? And it became a whole complete reversal of selfishness. That Dell's whole intention was to like own him.
Wow.
I'll just pick this guy up off the street, I'll teach him the trade, and then he'll owe me for the rest of his life. And then Dell never paid the guy anything, you know. And finally, it took like 4 or 5 years before Victor said, "Okay, I understand. I'm grateful that you've given me all of this stuff, but you're not, you're not paying me what a reasonable wage is, and you can't hold me to this minimum wage thing when I'm doing $25, $30 an hour work. Just, you can't do that to me. How long do I have to show gratitude for
Right.
what you did? Do I owe you my life forever?" And I saw all that happen. And then the guy did it to me. I mean, I never had a drug problem, but I was his drywall guy. And I came into work one day, and I had a Volkswagen Beetle. I couldn't haul drywall, but I was really good at what I did, and I gave him a good rate. I think I was $18 an hour, no, $16 an hour at the time. And I came in one day, and he said, "I can't hire you anymore because you don't have a vehicle, you don't have a truck." And I'm like, "Well, you don't pay me enough to buy a truck, so I can't buy a truck on $16 an hour." And he said, "Well, my son's got a truck for sale. I'll tell you what, you can buy my son's truck, and we'll just take payments out. We'll put it in your name, but I'll keep the title in your name, but in my house. And then once the truck's paid off, then I'll give you the title." And then, so it was basically, he strong-armed me and made me buy this truck from his son when I didn't really need a truck. I didn't want a truck. But here he is telling me that he's not going to hire me unless I buy this truck. He's not going to continue to hire me for more jobs. And he only hired me when he needed a drywall. I wasn't working there all the time. So, yeah, and after having seen him do that whole thing to Victor, I never confronted him about the Victor thing. I talked to Victor about it. I thought, okay, all right, okay, I'll buy the truck. And then so we did the whole deal. I got the truck, and then he's got the title. And then every time I'd come in for a job, he would say, "Okay, how much for this? How much are you going to charge me to do this?" And I would tell him, according to my calculations, I think this is going to take me 10 hours at $1,660, right? So as soon as I have the truck, he says, "How much for this job?" And I go, "Oh, it's going to take me about 10 hours at $20 an hour." And he's like, "Wait, what? $20 an hour?" I said, "Yeah. How do you just give yourself a raise for $20 an hour?" I said, "Well, I have a truck now, so I'm worth more." And there's this other guy down the street who's ready to pay me $20 an hour to work full time because I have a truck. So what do you want to do?
Here's the question I have.
More jobs. I think I paid $200 for that truck.
The question that I have for this is, it just seems weird that he would pay you and then take back out of your paycheck the payment for the truck.
That's not an uncommon thing.
So, I mean,
No.
so I'm just not getting it, other than he's trying to keep you in some sort of indentured servitude or something.
Exactly. I mean, that was the whole thing. It's like he was trying to make things basically all good for him. He needs to get rid of his son's truck because his son wants a new one. Of course, Dad's got to buy it. So he's just trying to make things better for himself and making other people, the kind of the victim of his, not victim, but just I don't know what to call it. But yeah, so anyway, the point is, some people take advantage of the drug addicts and the ex-cons and
Yeah.
it's just it kind of sucks.
It can. And you know what else kind of sucks?
That it's 1 o'clock and it's time for a break.
No.
Oh,
It's worse than that.
oh God.
So remember how I told you guys that I was hearing this really crazy delay in my ears?
Yeah.
And so I turned the monitoring off so that I wouldn't hear that crazy delay.
Yeah.
Because you guys were also hearing an echo.
A little bit, yeah.
So I turned on the Radio Valencia feed just to give a listen, see how the levels were sounding,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't exist.
Oh, you're kidding me.
So the whole time at least on Radio Valencia, but on YouTube it's been okay. But on Valencia, you guys have been talking and responding to stuff that I was saying, but I
And so
wasn't
there's just
saying it. So
dead
just
air.
dead silence. Dead silence. So I fixed it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I fixed it now, but for the last 35 minutes, you guys have been talking to a ghost.
Okay.
Wow,
Well,
that is something new every week.
Every week. Hands down. Every week.
Technology.
So, well, and I'm actually thinking what I'm going to do is just sort of like rethink the whole mixer and the way that we do this and try to simplify it as best I can. I don't know. Because we should be able to just turn it on and do the show. The problem is that the broadcasting software is listening to my system. So if I'm not hearing myself, the broadcasting software doesn't hear me.
Gotcha.
So we'll figure it out.
So now you can hear yourself?
I can hear myself, but it's on that same kind of slight annoying delay that Chaz knows about from when we record here. That it's just like a fraction of a second delay, but it's enough that it is really obnoxious.
It
Your
will
ears?
blow, scramble your brain just
It
if you listen
can.
to it too long.
Right, absolutely. So I apologize to our Radio Valencia listener.
Listener?
If well, and the bigger problem is it's gonna F up the podcast. So I'm gonna have to pull the audio from YouTube
That's not a
to
problem.
post the podcast.
Hmm.
Hopefully it works. I just wish there was an easier way.
Yeah, there is. We'll just go into the studio.
Yeah, we'll get an airplane.
Yep.
We'll hire a
Road trip.
pilot. Well, we could probably write it off. Tax write-off.
Yeah, because, we all pay taxes, right?
Yeah.
Of course we do.
And this is a public service, right?
I like that. Exactly.
I need to
Yeah,
stretch my legs.
Say that again?
I need to stretch my legs and go do another bump.
Right. All right. Then let's play a song.
I need to get another beer too. So
Sounds good. I will play a song, and we will enjoy that song.
can you play what you've done?
I will, absolutely.
All right.
Now, I don't think that I can play that song through the Hangout, can I?
I don't know.
But you're supposed to know. Showcase. What's that? Click on that. Opening showcase this feature.
Is there a YouTube version of it? That's the question. If there is, then yes, you can.
This feature is disabled. Why? Who disabled it? You bastards.
I didn't do it.
All right, fine. All right, let's play that song.
Let's hear it.
You're not gonna hear it. You have to play it in your head.
I'm going to turn the Radio Valencia on then.
Can I add it to
Oh, I'm
YouTube?
going to turn the YouTube on. Oh, we'll turn it up.
I'm going to turn everything on so we hear nothing but like multiple delays.
The audio is really good on Apple TV.
All right. And I'm short cocking it next. So. I am short cocking on it.
Wait, I'm asking for your hand to reach inside my troubled mind and see the truth inside forever. This priceless feeling, it's so expensive. Not talking money. Look what you've done to me, Please help, I'm watching as you run. My helpless mind can't take the days, the war against myself I'm losing. Backed up my brain, moved out my mind, but now my body's leaving. This priceless feeling, it's so expensive. Locked up in my name. Look what you've done to me.